Another aspect of perspective involves the level of distortion you encounter when using different focal lengths. In photography, the more extreme the focal length, the more pronounced the distortion becomes. Some distortions can transform a regular 2-point perspective into a 4-point perspective. Others can change a 2-point perspective into a 3-point perspective. And some may make objects appear extremely narrow and distorted, even in 2-point perspective. But how does this affect our drawing? When we examine this box in a 2-point perspective, it appears much like any box we drawn before, with the two vanishing points situated far away from the object on opposite sides of the drawing. Now observe what happens if we bring one point closer to the other. You will immediately notice the increased distortion in the second box. This distortion occurs due to the reduced distance between the vanishing points. In photographic terms, it's linked to the longer focal length of the camera. The larger the focal length expressed in millimeters, the more zoomed in the view is into the distance. But this also results in greater distortion. Conversely, a shorter or smaller focal length allows you to see less in the distance and reduces the distortion in the foreground. This concept is illustrated in the chart below, showing that the increased focal length expands the view, but simultaneously intensify the image distortion and vice versa. In the example with the pink box, you can see the two vanishing points at the edge of the screen. This is not a distorted image. The focal point is low and the visible distance is close. However, as I increase the focal length, the two vanishing points draw closer, and objects near the camera such as the blue column begins to fade out of the view. The box itself becomes more and more distorted as I increase the focal length and decrease the distance between the two vanishing points. At an extreme angle, the box is barely recognizable, and the scene becomes non-functional. Therefore, when planning to paint a scene, remember that less distortion is generally better and less intentional, of course, as we will talk about later. Returning to the example, you can see that the distorted box has various irregular angles. The top edge is at a 30-degree angle, while the bottom is at a 45-degree. This can appear less aesthetically pleasing in general. However, we can use the uniform distortion to our advantage. As demonstrated in the isometric box, this type of distortion is uniform all around, with the top and the bottom edges distorted at a 30-degree angle, and the angles inside the box approximately 90 degrees angle. This simplifies the shape and makes it easier to work with. This unique distortion is achieved by eliminating the convergence of the lines toward the horizon line. In this perspective, parallel lines remain parallel throughout, allowing you to move the object anywhere in the drawing without altering its size. This is why it's often used in video games and tabletop gaming, as we said before, because objects or characters maintain a consistent size, regardless of their placement on the screen. Another way to use distortion to your advantage is the approach we discussed in the previous lesson, which is employing 3-point perspective. In this case, distortion serves a purpose. Zooming in on the foreground provides more details while blurring the background causes vertical lines to converge toward a third vanishing point. So as long as the distortion is intentional and more importantly serves a purpose, it can enhance your painting. However, be cautious not to overdo it, as it may appear unnatural. Finally, consider distortion in figures and portrait. Excessive distortion in a portrait can make it look strange, while too little distortion can render it flat. Therefore, it's important to choose the best focal length for your portrait, and ensure that you illuminate your character appropriately, not too much and not too little. You can practice these distortions by drawing 2-point perspective boxes and vary the distance between the vanishing points, either by putting them away from each other or moving the object itself closer to one point than the other, and you will see that distortion happening in these situations. That concludes our discussion on distortion for this lesson. We will explore more examples in the future, but for now, let's move on to the 6th and final principle of perspective, atmospheric perspective. We will delve into this in the next lesson. As always, if you found this lesson helpful, please leave a like. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to ask in the comment section, and I will do my best to respond promptly. To stay informed about the future lesson, don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification bell. Thank you all for watching, and I will see you in the next video.